The Middle East, etched with historical fault lines and simmering tensions, is on the precipice of wider conflict. The catalyst, a barrage of Iranian missiles aimed at Israel. This escalation stems from years of animosity and a cycle of violence. The recent escalation traces back to the Israel-Gaza conflict, sparked by a Hamas-led attack. The human cost was immense, inflaming passions and drawing regional actors deeper. Iran, a supporter of Palestinian groups, viewed Israel's actions as unforgivable. The missile strikes were a calculated response, a warning to Israel. In the early hours of date of the attack, Iran launched dozens of ballistic missiles towards Israel. The target's military installations and strategic assets, a clear signal that Iran was willing to escalate the situation. Iranian officials were quick to claim responsibility for the strikes. The Iranian government, led by President Ibrahim Raisi, framed the strikes as a necessary act of self-defense. They argued that Israel's actions in Gaza, coupled with the deaths of key regional figures, posed a direct threat to Iran's security and regional interests. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, in a televised address, invoked religious justifications for the missile strikes. He painted Israel as an existential threat to the Muslim world, and vowed to continue supporting the Palestinian resistance. The missile strikes sent shockwaves throughout the region and beyond. It was a stark reminder of Iran's military capabilities and its willingness to use them to protect its interests. The international community braced for the fallout, knowing that the situation could easily spiral out of control. The international response to Iran's missile strikes was swift and multifaceted. Western powers, led by the United States, condemned the attacks as a dangerous and unjustified escalation. They called for restraint from both sides and urged a de-escalation of the conflict. The United Nations Security Council held an emergency meeting to address the crisis. While there was widespread condemnation of the missile strikes, the Council was divided on how to proceed. Permanent members Russia and China, both with close ties to Iran, blocked attempts to impose further sanctions on Tehran. However, not all reactions were negative. Palestinian groups, including Hamas and Islamic Jihad, praised Iran's actions as a justified response to Israeli aggression. They viewed the missile strikes as a sign of solidarity and a blow against their common enemy. Other regional actors, including Syria and Lebanon's Hezbollah, also expressed support for Iran's stance, though they stopped short of endorsing the missile strikes outright. The attacks underscored the complex web of alliances and rivalries that define the Middle East's geopolitical landscape. Section 4. Israel, a nation on guard. Israel, caught off guard by the Iranian attack, reacted with defiance and restraint. Their air defense systems intercepted many incoming projectiles. Prime Minister Naftali Bennett vowed a swift response. He declared Israel would not be intimidated and would defend its citizens. Israel seemed wary of a wider conflict with Iran. They carried out limited airstrikes in Syria. Israel's measured response was influenced by several factors. They did not want to escalate the conflict further. They were mindful of potential civilian casualties, and they aimed to maintain international support, especially from the U.S. Section 5. Echoes of solidarity and celebration in the Middle East. The Iranian missile strikes reverberated far beyond the halls of power. Across the Middle East, people took to the streets to express their solidarity with either side of the conflict. The events served as a stark reminder of the deep divisions and long-standing grievances that continue to plague the region. In the Gaza Strip, where the recent violence had left a trail of destruction and despair, news of the Iranian missile strikes was met with a mixture of awe and jubilation. For many Palestinians, Iran's actions were seen as a much-needed act of defiance against Israeli oppression. Celebratory gunfire erupted in the streets of Gaza City and other Palestinian towns and refugee camps. People waved Palestinian and Iranian flags, chanting slogans denouncing Israel and praising Iran for standing up to their oppressors. The event served as a potent reminder of the widespread support that Iran enjoys among Palestinians. Section 6. Charting a course through uncertainty. In the wake of Iran's missile strikes, the Middle East finds itself at a crossroads. The specter of a wider conflict looms large. The path forward requires careful diplomacy and a commitment to de-escalation. The international community must contain the crisis. The United States needs to engage in dialogue with Iran. Russia and China must encourage restraint. There are glimmers of hope that cooler heads will prevail. Both Israel and Iran signal a desire to avoid war. The coming days will be crucial for diplomacy. The road ahead will be fraught with challenges. The pursuit of peace must remain the ultimate goal.